It feels a lot better, the game, now. I'm glad it's like still around. I just wished they had done kind of more because it's a good game. It just seems like they don't fully like capitalize on what
The
Nexon
potential.
have got, and
Yeah.
then they make a load of stupid decisions. It feels
Yeah, I've got the whole
kind of
list of
Maple Story
things
2.
that yeah, I've got like the list of the whole things that I would like to see in Maple, and then when people played MapleStory 2, they're like, oh, that was in MapleStory 2. That was also in MapleStory 2. But then, like, they implement or they think of the concept and they implement the concept into another game. It doesn't work there, but then they just don't even consider maybe thinking about implementing it in MapleStory. Like,
Yeah, wait, this was super successful? Yeah, we're not going to put it into Maple. Just let it die. It's done. We tried.
I guess like, oh, this was
How
an
it feel.
aspect of a game that died, therefore all things in there must be bad or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, step by step, they're adding presets, which I think that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, like the hyperstat points and all that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that because, as you've probably noticed already, my hyperstat points are a mess, like a proper mess.
Well, you're a Kanna, right? So it's pretty tricky to optimize that.
Well, I did go from, I think when I first came back, I instantly just burnt an Adele.
Mm-hmm.
Got my Adele up to like 226, and then it didn't. It felt good because obviously Adele's a really strong class. I felt without much link skills or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kind of was like, I want more. Tried out Arc, burnt an Arc, only ended up putting it up to I think 150. I can't really remember right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then went on the Kanna and kind of just fell in love with the spawn rate increase.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've just been pushing it up and enjoying it. Been trying to get all the characters, at least one a day, up to like 70 or 100, and then just push it up for there.
Mm-hmm.
Work on that Legion.
So Legion's doing well.
I think I'm close to 3.5k. By the end of today, I'll be on. I think I'm logged in. Yeah, I am. Yeah, manage Legion. I'll be doing 2 characters today, probably up to like 100, so that'll be me up to 3,317.
Mm-hmm.
So close to 3.5k, and then it'll be 4k, then that's 6k.
Yep.
Not even thinking about 5k, just get straight to 6k after like the 4k.
Yeah, 5.5 is a nice bump, right? That's when you get the extra 5 characters in again. But like, yeah, the full board on 6 is what you're aiming for.
Yeah, that bump from, I think it was, I went from what, 12 members assigned or 11 members assigned up to 18. That was a huge bump.
Yeah, if you go from 2.5 to 3, you get 5 extra characters in there, plus the bigger grid.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Yeah.
help for new characters.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yep.
I was well happy with that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I kind of was like, oh, maybe I should get all these int characters kind of a bit higher
Mm-hmm.
to slot them in and get that one extra slot. My Legion board's a mess as well, but hey, that's why we done the prog session. See what advice I can get.
Yeah.
But I think I logged in when I first started. I logged in a week after like all that compensation stuff was given out and the VAC pet and that. I know I wouldn't have gotten much off of it, but I was like, oh man, I could have got some free easy symbols and stuff.
Oh, when it was like completely over, like the last day was passed.
Yeah, I logged in just after that ended. I was like,
Unlucky.
God damn it.
Yep. Yeah, a big miss. Yeah, it's a little bit a sour start to come back to, I guess.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I need to change that Archmage's name because that used to be a bishop. I'm just watching your stream there and I'm like, oh yeah, that's still called Bishkasa. So
well.
original with my names.
Just
Very original.
like job switch twice with another one, and then that fixes it. That's cheaper than changing the name, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's what I had said about. I asked you that question, and you said obviously most people just run the bishop, and then job change once they get to like 140.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to be a hell of a lot better. So that's what the plan is for the fire mage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one will obviously just be kept as a bishop. Those are the next two that I'm planning to get up for the IED. So
Right, you're working on that.
Good.
Yeah. So to take a step back, I guess. So you're playing the Kanna. And wait, what level are you now? 238.
Yes, 10% away from 239 at the moment.
Nice. And so yeah, like you're working on Legion and you're playing other games as well. So like, what kind of dedication, I guess, to the game do you have? Do you have any specific goals, or are you just chugging along?
Well, obviously, I play on EU Reboot. Worst decision ever, but I've kind of invested now, so restarting on like NA, I know it would be a lot easier to play with people. But the investment's already there on EU, so really what I'm hoping is for anybody that does play on EU Reboot, like I can maybe carry Lomi. Obviously, I want to eventually get into Lucid parties. Eventually maybe get into Will parties. The guild I'm in, we've got I think 3 or 4 people sitting at about 25 to 27k stats, and then there's me and a couple other people that are obviously just coming up the now we're Legion in our stats, so we're hopefully going to be able to join them, learn the bosses, and maybe take down some of the harder bosses. But it's just stuff like solo and
there's a lot of soloing, right? Because it's EU.
Yeah, I've soloed. I managed to get 3 doors down, which felt accomplished. Managed to get Vellum down to half HP, but obviously that's like watching your YouTube videos and that, and I'm like, okay, it's not as difficult as I thought. I just need the Legion and I just need to practice. So yeah, that's the main goals. Solo Lomi in, and then eventually get to that point where I can join Lucid parties and maybe Will parties.
So now you're in the practice CVL stage?
I've not actually been practicing it. I've just basically been going in every like half hour and then attempting it and trying to smash his face in. Yeah, that's what I.
Well, that consists of practice, I think.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
I
the main
practice, but I'm like.
Yeah. Well, so how do those runs go? Like, what do you run into? What goes well? What doesn't go well?
It's really, I think it's just being stupid, getting caught by the tail, or maybe getting caught by falling debris. Like I say, got him down to half health. Can't remember if there's like any other like phases once he gets lower, like most bosses. But it's just stupid mistakes on my end. And screwing it up. I think I could easily get it with just a little bit more focus in that. So yeah.
Yeah, he does get easier in the sense you can hit him better once he gets like past half HP, because he'll go to the corners and like breathe in, which means he's out way more, and he'll start doing the green poison attacks and the fireballs and stuff. He does that way more, so he's hittable more. So from a time constraint, if you're like just over halfway time-wise, but he's not halfway yet, that means you can still get there. So like the time to HP ratio is definitely a little bit off in that sense. Yeah. But I'm guessing the time ratio isn't the thing for you. It's just like the not dying to dumb shit.
No, not really. I mean, obviously Kanna's stupidly broken with their circle and their bind. That kind of gives me that freedom just to get a hell of a load of damage in. But I think what my problem is obviously my IED and my boss damage. I know that's kind of lacking a little bit. I think in my screenshot I sent you, I didn't have all my familiars on. So it's actually a bit higher. Let me just double check that.
Yeah, if you take an extra, I think you can still edit the album, right? You can probably just add it, and if I refresh it, it should pop up. If you want to do that.
Yeah, give me a second. Okay, my IED goes up to 87%, but that's only with 2 IED familiars.
2 15%ers, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of need that as a Kanna, otherwise your damage get reduced too hard. CVL is only at 200% PDR now, so it's not too bad. But once you go Lotus and Damien, who have the 300%, that's when it gets Your damage gets reduced more and more. Well, so even like with these stats and something, I feel like Seaval should be like very doable, right? You've seen my Project CRA videos.
Yes.
Yeah, the characters are quite a bit weaker than this guy doing it. So there is like the possibility. I think the main thing, like like if you get caught by the tails, that's the thing about like you have to teleport. The one thing is that even if after you bind Vellum, always be cognizant that he can still summon tails. They might be like already stacked up to be on the way.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't realize was obviously like I think one of the times I was bursting him and it was going brilliantly, but my stupid self forgot to get buff freezers. It's also something I need to get into the habit of. But I binded him and then started smacking into him, and then obviously the tails came, and I was just so focused on Vellum, not watching for the tails, I just got gibbed, and that cost me a hell of a lot, like rebuffing, trying to wait on the cooldown of other stuff, and then I'm like, maybe if I just paid attention, but obviously that's now something I'm aware of is, okay, he can still spawn tails, so be careful.
Yes, in the beginning, you kind of just have to run into all the mistakes or run into all the obstacles 2 or 3 times, and then learn from it, move on, and then fewer and fewer situations will be situations where you feel like there's no way out, and when you feel like you're gonna die, those situations are gonna go down, and then when those situations are still around, you have the benefit of levels, so you have the benefit of a bigger fee matrix, right? So you get access into iframes if needed. So we can look into that as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got a whole lot of boost nodes going on, from what I can see.
Yeah, I need to work on those boost nodes a little. I know that's another mistake I kind of made. I do have the decent holy symbol as well, but that's just basically baseline. I did have decent sharp eyes on my glove. I had crit damage and decent hyper on my gloves, but then I wanted them legendary, re-rolled them, and got double crit damage. I can't remember what it was I got.
Let me
No, I got one line.
Wait, on your gloves? Hang on.
Yeah, got crit damage and got in on my very first line of going to legendary, and I'm like, god damn, I don't want to re-roll that yet. I'm going to get a progression session, so I've basically left all the potentials as they were.
Okay. Wait, let me double check
because what to focus.
Let me double check because I don't think the gloves are in here. Yeah, should probably.
Yeah, I didn't really do it very well with the.
Yeah. You said I should probably double check if everything was in there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16. Your secondary weapon. Face. Basket keep earrings. The 2 pendants, the top. I think I'm missing the bottom as well. Your bottom and your gloves aren't in there.
Bottom and gloves, right. Give me 1 second. Did I have them just in here? Yeah, I do. Right, let's see if it lets me edit this document.
Was that you who wasn't really loving Imgur?
Yeah, I hate Imager.
It doesn't really work properly.
It seems to never work properly for me. Right, so I'm missing gloves. Gloves.
Oh, some nice lucky rings.
Oh, I'm not even going. I was working I didn't obviously know. What was it? Was it top or bottom? You said that was also missing?
Bottom.
Right. Emblem face gloves.
Top is in there at the end.
Yeah, I need to just quickly grab a copy of the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll add that.
Oh, while you're in there, could you do the Legion grid as well?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Because I do have the biggest members, but
Yep.
not your actual layout. Progression guide on how to injure. I was thinking of maybe uploading a video along with the whole thing on like how to do that easily, because it is some work for sure.
Right.
Or maybe there's another program that's better. I don't know. Oh,
There we go.
Resumed.
Got the bottom. So choose full. Where the heck are you saving this? There we go. Right. The bottom should be in there, and the gloves should be in there. And then, what was it you wanted on the Legion? Sorry.
The grid right now for your Legion, like your setup.
Yep.
Just a board.
I must not have added that one. I'm sure I took that image.
Yeah, you've got all the Legion characters pretty early on, but not the board itself. So maybe just
Oh yeah.
a misclick on the upload. But yeah, we'll look at everything. So okay, yeah, for bossing, I mean, if the tails get you, it's a matter of the main thing with Vellum in the beginning is that if you just go in and you try to go ham, yeah, you get killed by things. That's pretty normal. And then if you start playing very safe to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore, then you don't die. Maybe you die like once or twice, but you don't die out. But then usually you run out the clock because you're not committing any kind of damage, right? So
yeah,
after you go through those two stages, you start going through like, okay, where can I do a bit extra? Where do I have to be really, really careful? And where can I just, go through things? And link skills and Legion can help, of course. Like the resistance link skills with the immunity, so that if you do die and you have buff freezers, that you can walk back and go right back into it without like respawning into a tail. If you don't have the resistance link, sometimes, you die to something, you respawn, you die again immediately. That's always really annoying, and that gets you to the point where you die out faster. That'll probably happen. Whether you have the resistance link from the Mihail on or not, like that can like bump you into things. That can be something that gets you killed. I don't know if you have that one.
No, I don't think Mihail's one that I've leveled yet. I've kind of just been me and my daughter. She's been picking what ones she liked the look of. And then I've basically been leveling those characters.
I see.
Because she sometimes sits with me, like while I'm playing, and then if I go away to maybe get a drink or whatever, she'll sneak on the keyboard and level for a little bit. So yeah, some of the class choices have been just purely down to what she wants me to play, and then obviously there's like some that I'm like, yeah, I need this one, I need this link skill.
Yeah. Oh, so you've got a little bit of help for a Legion leveler.
Yeah, I think she done. What one was it she done? She done my Pathfinder. I think I said in your chat one day. I had been out for the day, came home, and I had like a level 60 Pathfinder. I'm like, okay, I was going to plan on leveling that, so I may as well just finish that. That was kind of nice.
I see. That's the one my mom plays too. It's pretty
so I don't
straightforward.
Need or anything.
Yeah.
I have my daughter to help. It's great.
Let's speed things along.
Right. Those images should be uploaded to the album now.
Yeah, I see the the Legion board is the last one you did, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Ignore the Legion board. It's so bad.
Well, it's good to know like the baseline of what we're starting with, so we can kind of go through on like what the process for the future is and like what the thought process up until then was, so that we can get that clear, and then all the new steps will kind of follow more organically rather than having to always come back and ask what now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've noticed that, like, even just from watching back some of the progression videos or that, or like I say, watching you with the Project CRA, it was kind of easy to learn myself kind of stuff, but I still make mistakes because obviously it's not what I'm going towards. So yeah.
Yeah. Everyone has different goals there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some are very specific, some are more broad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you like stuff. Okay, and to which extent are you also, you have seen some of the sessions and stuff? Are you quite familiar with the commands in my channel as well?
Yes. I kind of use the, even like if you're not online, I could just save it as a tab, but I just pop into your stream channel and then I'm like, commands, bring up the list and that. I'm like, I really should just save this to a tab, because obviously they're damn helpful.
Yeah, I see a lot of, usually when I log in, I log up I scroll up the chat and it's just a bunch of people using commands when I'm offline. That's usually what my chat is like. Yeah.
Pretty great, like.
Okay, so like I guess the Lynx command, you're familiar with that one, right? The Legion and the Lynx characters.
Yeah, like how they benefit and what ones benefit the most, and like what ones aren't really of benefit but can be benefits in other areas. Yeah.
Yep. And the ones for flames and for familiars and for let me think, and then for IED, are those all familiar with those?
The flames one, I kind of get it, and I know like how to. I'm slightly getting into the, okay, I can tell that this is a good flame. It's kind of higher than this flame. I'm still a little bit confused with the flames at times, but obviously I can tell like, okay, this is a better flame. The familiars, I know how to do that. I know how to get like them now that I'm a bit of a higher level. I can farm in certain areas and try and get like rare and epic familiars and that, which are never going to drop, but still. I've got 3 15% IED familiars at the moment. I just need to get 2 more badges to unlock my third familiar slot.
Okay, nice.
The badges I'm missing are those ones that are kind of a pain to grab, so
yeah, probably better if you only need 2. It's probably better to just wait until you're higher level. The higher level ones are pretty easy to get. You just have to get to the level and then they're basically free.
Yeah, I think in the next area I'll be able to unlock a badge when I hit 240.
240 is Celis. I don't think Celis has them, but 245 Moonbridge has them.
Yeah, I'd probably be there within, I'd say, the next week or 2 weeks. I'd be at 245, depending on how other games go in that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's a
lot of queue time, so.
Yeah, that's the thing with those queue times. I mean, easy enough to get levels in.
So. I saw some servers the average queue time is like 8 hours or some shit.
Well, originally when we first started playing, me, my wife, and my brother were basically going to play with some friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, we're rolling on this server. It's the streamer server," and I'm like, "Oh no, please no." First time logging in on server release, there's already 2,000 people in the server, and then there's like 8,000 people in the queue. Then another friend logged in after that, and they're saying that they're in like 20,000 in the queue, and I'm like, yeah, we need to get the fuck off this server.
Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, isn't every single server like a stream server at that point? Because
yeah, you basically
there's at least like 20 servers, like 20 big enough streamers playing it. That yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. Even the server I'm on at the moment, I mean, 11 o'clock this morning, there was a 300-person queue. It kind of went quick enough, but
okay, that's not too bad.
Hopefully it'll get a bit. I want it to get a bit easier, but I want to just keep maple grinding as well. So I'm like, I don't mind it. So just keep the queues about 300, 500. That still gives me about an hour to grind and do what I need to do.
I see. Yeah. Like pop in the queue. It doesn't have an estimated wait time though, right? Just like a queue position. Yeah.
The thing is, most people are key waiting as well, so like nobody's getting disconnected. So everybody that's in is just running around consistently with their key weights on, and
Yeah.
Even though they're AFK for like the whole night sleeping in that. I'm like,
Yeah, so that
damn
they
it.
can stay in. Yeah, exactly. And that makes we talked about that. Like when you see long wait times, that makes people do things to stay in, which makes the wait times even longer. If everyone just logs off when they're actually off, then the queue times would probably be not too bad at all. There'd probably be room in the servers at certain times even.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a group of like 50 people on the server I'm on because they're part of a like faction. There's 50 people that are all macroing like movement.
Of course.
So they don't get DC'd. I'm like, you scumbags. That's 50 easy slots.
Yep.
But that's how it is. New release game, so yeah.
Unfortunate. Okay. So wait. Okay. So for Flames, you were kind of familiar. For ID, you were familiar.
Yeah, I know. Like you want tier 6 or tier 7 Flames, and then like on, for instance, my Absolab stuff, I want the highest Flames I can possibly get because I'm not really going to replace the Absolab for a while. My what do you call it? Cray set as well, that free piece, I kind of want as best Flames as I can on them. So I know like magic attack and a very high int roll would be really good, and if I can get all stat, you know, you're kind of laughing for that kind of Flames. I think my weapon was not too bad with the magic attack. I believe I can get a lot more magic attack though. But just because I've been trying to build the meso gear and the drop gear for while I'm farming and that, I've not really been focusing on the Flames too much. Once I get to a point where I'm comfortable with a bit of money chucked away for any future characters in that, I'm just going to work on like actually going for some halfway decent Flames. So.
Well, so yeah, since you mentioned like as best as possible, that's a bit vague, right?
Yeah.
So to make that a little bit more concise, have you like checked Flame scores and how to calculate that?
There was. Oh, who is it that does? There's a website where you can plug in your Flame score. I can't remember what it was, but I use that to check my Flame score, and I try and hit an average like amount. Oh, I don't remember
this one.
Yeah, I think it's that one I've used.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My brain's kind of dying.
Oh, this one's the calculator. Hang on. This one, I mean. Boop.
It's the one. It was the one that was on the Reddit and the guides. I've not used this flame score calculator, but I'll probably just start using this and then go with this.
Maybe this one? Stat equivalence?
Yes. I'm sure that's the one I was using.
Oh, yeah, it all tries to do the same thing. But as long as you know like how to get to the flame score and kind of get to that point.
Yeah.
So all of it kind of mirrors off of this, right? It's kind of what I use. The progression grid for Maple. It's kind of like the baseline of what I use to kind of like check if your character's on the right track.
Yeah.
So you're like close to 240, right? So we want to see if you're like reaching the limits and reaching the values that would get you into late game. Which would get you from Solo, Damien, and Lotus is like around the stage where you're at now, where you want to be working on, and then Helix. I don't know. Have you done any Helix? I think for Kanna that's pretty free, right?
I've had somebody that's basically been taking me through Helix just for the coins and that. I think I'm on 698 coins, not seen a single high level item drop, but they've been taking me through and basically been making me practice each of the stages, showing me like the optimal areas to stand when I'm fighting and that.
Okay. Are they also like, Kanna? Like, do they?
Yeah, they are Kanna as well. So it was kind of really good. I mean, it's 2 minutes solo for them, so it's kind of really helping me as well see how he plays, and know what I should be doing, because I was originally just like teleporting between the pillars, the I don't know what you want to call them,
The platforms.
the platforms.
Yeah.
In phase 2, and he says no, it's much easier just like stand on the platform and teleport up and down. You kind of avoid stuff a lot easier, rather than teleporting side to side. I don't really die, it's just I'm just a little bit slow.
Yeah, just slower.
I've not really been trying since I've been upgrading stuff, so it's just basically I try, see how much I can do. He pushes it into the next phase, makes me like learn the next phase, pushes it into the last phase, and then he's like, yeah. So it's kind of good.
Yeah, you have a summon for the bottom as well, so you don't have to be as scared as other classes to really go in and commit to the gem in phase 3. So that also makes it easier. But with the current Helix, phase 3 is typically the easiest, because if you have enough damage to get through 1 and 2 without wanting to just completely Roblox yourself, then phase 3 should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like it's going to be like, once I get up to that 20k stat and start actually having my Legion done easy, I think it's going to be a boss I can do piece of piss, no problems at all with it. And I know, like, I've felt it myself with it, like I say, getting the higher Legion, everything feels so much easier. Like I used to go into normal Hilla? Is it normal Hilla? Because it's easy and normal we have. I can't remember it.
Normal and hard, and then Varus later down the road.
Used to do normal Hilla, took me a little bit. The first couple of times of doing hard Hilla took me a little bit. Now it's I just go in, plop down the circle, pop down my boss, demon, and then basically smack her in the face a couple of times and she's dead. Don't even have to jump anymore, dodge anything, go in the bubble.
When you say like circle, do you mean domain or do you mean something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I called domain circle.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just so I know what you're talking about. Because there's another, like a spirit circle skill as well, but I didn't see that in your matrix. But that's one that's a lot of damage. But we'll get to that. Yeah.
I kind of, well, I didn't accidentally. It kept stealing my kills from what do you call it? Cushion. So I got rid of it, took it out of my V matrix, and then forgot I kind of still needed it for bosses, and ended up dismantling it.
I see. Well, you never got another one since then?
No, I've been so goddamn unlucky. I just need to craft one at some point.
Yeah,
but I've just been trying to get domain up higher because it's such a damage boost.
It is. And also like a lot of party value. But when you're talking about like soloing bosses and like having problems with things like Sivo, the blue spirit circle is like amazing, right? Because it's going through the domain, and because Sivel is such a tall boss, it's hitting him like just constantly with those blue circle coming out, and then you have him bound, and you have the domain out, and you have the blue circle going through him. That's just so much damage, and that'll definitely help you kill the boss faster.
Oh god, I didn't even actually see. That's something that I didn't even think of.
So like for like Lotus,
that is.
like Lotus Phase 1 also is a really big hitbox right down the middle, the big machine. If you summon one of those big blue balls, just floats through the top. And any kind of map that's vertical, you want to have that instead. Because when you say like stealing kills from Kishin, there's no like specific there's no rule that says like Kishin has to kill it and then that skill can't, right? If you're killing more things, you're killing more things, right?
Yeah, what it was though is I noticed that some of the maps I was farming on, Kishin was disappearing really quickly, and I was trying to work out what it was, and then I ended up checking like some videos and some Reddit posts and that, and supposedly like they said that Circle of Suppression, if it gets that like last hit, it can end up shortening your time on Kishin. So I took it off, and I noticed like my Kishin was lasting multiple loot rotations, whereas before it was lasting like one loot rotation, and then just totally forgot about how powerful it could be. Yeah. So it looks like I'm using some of my
it has to do with Night Ghost Guide, right?
Yeah, I don't fully understand it, but I know that it's to do with Night Ghost Guide and everything as well, and
Yeah,
propping stuff.
So if you hit monsters but you don't kill them, then there's a chance that a Night Ghost Guide stacks and like debuffs them, and then whenever that happens, your Kishin is extended. But if with that blue spirit circle, what can happen, of course, is that the monsters die faster, which doesn't allow you to hit them, or the spirit circle kills them more quickly. So you have fewer targets to trigger the Night Ghost Guide, and then that makes your spirit circle. That makes your uptime for Kishin not go up as much. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's something. I mean, there we go. That's an easy.
But for bossing,
change
yeah,
to
for
make.
bossing there, it's insanely good. Just does a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for Lucid later as well. Lucid is pretty tall hitbox as well. In phase 1, you want that that spirit circle to do a lot of damage, especially if you're just soloing things. Then you need it. If you're partying, you're mainly there to like do the good domains, put the barriers down, put the binds there, and you know, and then you did your job, right? You don't need to be the one that does all the damage. That's like a secondary thing. If you can help in damage as well, or if you can help in lines and like normal Lucid to make sure that you did the like the golems are killed a little bit faster. Like that's your job. It's not so much to be able to solo everything. But, you know, if you're in EU, it's not as easy to find a party for everything, and there's more stuff that you want to solo, then it's pretty indisposable to have that one.
Mm-hmm. It's just the soloing as well, obviously, lets me fund, like, the Adele up, because I know the Adele's kind of easy damage, and it's kind of brain dead to play. So I know that I could make extra income as well, just with... Like, the more I progress on this character, the more messes I can bring in without farming and stuff like that. It's just all little things that add up at the end of the day.
Yep. Functional. 3, 7. So I'm kind of looking, right? So we want to kind of see if we can get you towards like the end of the mid and towards the beginning of the late game. I mean, the same numbers, of course, right? You have your crit rate at 100. Do you know right now if your crit rate is over 100 or if it's exactly at 100?
Right now, give me 1 second. I am not buffed, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, if you don't
get out of the V matrix.
If you don't have sharp eyes on and it's below 100, then we can immediately see the number.
I'm on 92%, so I can actually lose 2% crit rate.
And that's with Beast
if I'm
Tamer.
keeping sharp eyes.
Yep. That's with Beast Tamer and Phantom at rank 2.
Yes.
Yeah, and with the crit rate 10. So, surprisingly, crit rate is... Well, for most classes, crit rate is very important, so you get all your critical damage. For Kanna, not as much, because your summons can't crit, right? So, a lot of damage coming from your crits... from your summons. So there is not... as important, but you know, if you're going to be bossing, it's very important, and eventually you want to get yourself to the point where you are always comfortably at 100%. Do you know if you're still getting critical rate from the goo buff? Did you participate in that?
I'm. Let me.
You could probably still look it up.
Oh yeah, you can. Yes, I'm getting the goo buff one. I'm down to boss damage on the goo buffs. That's as far down as I am on that. Not any further down, so...
This one below crit... Yeah, this one below crit rate, yeah. So the 10% crit rate is applying. Okay, so if you do when you do lose the crit rate, that's going to go down to 92 with sharp eyes.
Yeah. I know, like... I will plan on getting the Phantom. I believe the next link skill is 20% for Kanna. Phantom, sorry.
Yeah, for Phantom.
So I will be getting that eventually to 210. So it's like, if I need to rush any classes up, then it doesn't really bother me. I can usually just set aside a few hours and smash some classes up.
Yeah, where you get the crit, there's a bunch of sources, of course, but Kanna's crit rate, of course, notoriously very low. So you have to use most of them, and then within using them, probably min-max on most of them as well. Is there... You have a soul on your weapon? Because that could be a cool place of getting crit if you get that. But oh, you have 24 int.
What is...
Crimson
yeah,
Queen.
I've not been getting very lucky with my souls. Most people have been saying that I could just save in the hopes of
Magnificent.
Is it a magnificent event?
Yeah.
But again, something that I wasn't sure on whether to do, so I've just been saving them.
Yeah, just save them. Yeah, that's the best.
To kind of ask, is that a good idea? What would you recommend? Because I know the 24 int isn't too bad. And it'll do the now, it's just extra damage. It's not loads, but it still helps.
Yeah, it still does something. Yeah, eventually, for you, it would be nice if you can hit IED or crit rate. Those would probably be advisable, because especially they'll also make it so that you don't have to necessarily go into crit rate. The other thing, I do mean like critical rate into like needing to min-max all your Legion, needing to fill the full grid and Legion board, right? Because that's like the used sources of crit rate. The other thing is you don't want to have to rely on any crit rate on any, like, you know, on like an emblem or a weapon. That's also, because eventually you want to roll out of that. The other thing is, of course, a lot of people try to get crit rate in their inner abilities. With your current setup, I mean, technically it's possible, right, for the top line to hit up to 30%. If you do get that would take a lot of pressure off of everything else. It would even mean that you can, like, totally divest in the Legion board, probably take the hyperstats a bunch lower and still hit 100%. And for now that would be fine, because you're still mainly supporting and mainly training, right? So you don't need to min-max your self damage at all. So you could, during like a 50% off inner ability event, you could just like lock the last two and just see if you hit it for the short term, because the crit is kind of a problem point right now, because I don't think there's any easier sources for you. I mean, there's a few Legion characters that you probably don't have the Marksman and the Night Lord yet. There's some crit rate there. Some people even go for the Explorer Archer Link skill to get the extra 10% from those three. That would get you to 100% in like the short term without needing to redo much.
Yeah. That's not too bad then.
Yeah. If you do end up getting lucky and getting it in your inner ability, that means you can divest from a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah, I could instantly take out the Hyperstats and instantly take it out of the Legion board, because I'm getting, 23% for Hyper and inner Legion board. So if I did manage to get lucky and hit 30% on that, that'd be huge.
Yeah, I never take all of the Hyperstat out, because like the first 5 points or something is very, very cheap, but that's still 5%. But like points 5 through 10, those you can then easily take out and put into other stats.
Boss damage.
Yeah, exactly. It could be boss damage. Could be if you're training, could be EXP. That's also possible. Maybe arcane power if you're going to a higher level area. But we'll talk about that a little bit as well, because you're probably going to get more towards the point, especially once you hit 4K Legion, especially once you hit 6K, that you're going to be building like 2 different setups, one for mobbing, one for bossing. And then switching between them once, you know, depending on what you're going to be doing that day or in the next few hours, right? And we don't have the presets yet, sadly, but it is always worth that 10 mil and the clicking to optimize once you get to a certain point. Yeah, I wouldn't do it at like level 215, because it's like more work than it's worth. But once you're at 240, especially once you're at 250, 260, like the min-maxing there gets more and more worth it.
Yeah.
And you'll be noticing that difference. Okay, so let's go through all this stuff like one topic at a time. The things are all like interconnected, of course. But so the progression grid. So where you're currently at is that like stat wise, quite a bit lower than where we would want to see you. So that's something we'll look at. I think a lot of that comes from Star Force here, because I see that you're, and that's with a guild buff, I think. There's like 15 guild buff, I think, in Star Force, right?
Yeah. I know that I could get a heck of a lot higher on my Star Force, but it's like we having the 4-set Abzo, 5-set Abzo. I've kind of been scared of breaking my stuff. Yep. I did try during the 5, 10, 15 event. Managed to get my weapon to 17 stars, got my Kanna, my Hakus to 15, and tried a few other items, and they just would not go past 11.
Yeah.
I think I had 3 or 4 billion. I know it's not a lot, especially for Star Forcing, but didn't really manage to make many gains on the Star Forcing. I'm happy I got my weapon up.
Yeah.
I would have loved a couple of pieces up.
Hang on, someone's at my door. Be right back. Sorry.
No worries. This is Mikasa stream now. Right, we're going to self-promote ourselves, guys, right? We're all going to leave Scardor and we're going to come and hang with Mikasa. I love that he, like, stopped on my Reboot Awakening ring. The potential on that is nice. If only that potential on that ring was 12%, 12%, 12%. Would have been disgusting. I am Scottish, yeah. One item with good potential. The rest of my potentials, garbage. When you see my weapon potential, chat, don't judge, okay? Don't judge my weapon potential. Don't judge my emblem potential, please. They're totally not horrible. Always judge.
Some trying
to. He's back.
Are you Scottish? Are you Scottish?
Yeah, we've just been saying about that Reboot Awaken ring. The one thing that I've got a really nice potential on. But
oh yeah, it is nice.
The rest of them are a lot
questionable.
There's one, yeah. There's one. I think it's my Absolab cape. Like, it's stupid.
Was it the epic one or no?
Yeah, it's an epic potential on the Absolab cape.
Oh, nice. 18, yeah.
Yeah, 18%. I'm like, why? Could you not have just went, like... That was trying to roll to Legendary, and it came up. And I'm like, right, I'll keep that. I think I'd done another 20-odd cubes, and it just would not go to Unique. I was like, oh well, I guess we've got that. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean... A lot of the stuff, even when it's at Legendary, is like 18 or lower, so you might as well keep it on Epic, you know? You only want to commit the money if you're also going to commit to the higher percentage, right? If you're okay with settling for that percent, then it's, you know, you might as well keep it on Epic and then work on something else. If you're going to be tiering up, you're obviously going to tier up the shoe now before the cape, right?
Yeah. Because
you're losing 7 there, but you're losing 18 on the other one, so it's a way better...
yeah.
Okay.
It's mad that rare is almost better than some of the potentials on other stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's just something that you can temporarily not have to worry about anymore, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. So yeah, so stat-wise, so that's mainly Star Force. Yeah, you were talking about the Star Force event. Yeah, so when it comes to Star Forcing, ideally, if you're working your way up to 15, it's pretty expensive without much return, and then once you can go 15 plus, that's when the big gains happen, right?
Yeah.
So to get up to 15, ideally you want to get a 30% off event, not a 5, 10, 15. It just works out, like the math just works out that it's more opportunist that way.
Yeah, like if you're spending 10 bill, you're getting what is it, 30% off, eh? So you're getting like another 3 billion basically free to spend. So yeah.
It's a bit different because the discount does not apply for safeguarding, and you will be probably safeguarding. There is the opportunity for you to also not safeguard because it's quote unquote like only epic potential on some of them. and they're only at 11. So there is, yeah. So let's see how we can approach this like financially in like a bit of an efficient way. So it's from what I can see. Oh, that's closing. From what I can see, it's definitely like star forcing is like the place to make a lot of gains now, both stat and just like overall damage wise in general. Because like the IED wise, you're still working on the IED. You have some functional higher. You're already at 87 with the familiars. I think the IED is actually okay, and there's still the possibility later if you reroll your emblem to get into a line on your emblem, and you don't have the other one either, right? You don't have the superior Golux set yet either, so that's also more IED that's on the way. So I think IED wise we don't have to worry too much. Legion level you're working on that, so you're going towards that 4K, so that's not too bad either, and you are aware of that. Yeah, so weapon, so flame wise, you'd mentioned like tier 6 and tier 7 stuff. That's for the weapon specifically, right?
Yeah, that was just really for the weapon. Like I've kind of the flames I've kind of been putting on the back burner and more focusing. Like I say, I focused on the drop and Metal Gear, got that. So now it's kind of like focus on the Star Force. Once I've got the Star Force, and I know that like I'm not going to hopefully boom anything because I'll probably stop at like 17 stars on items.
For sure.
Once I get to that, try pushing those potentials up to like unique and then push them up to legendary and that. But yeah, the flames will probably be just the worst part for me.
Yeah, you want to you want to move like all three of the pieces kind of, you know, at the same kind of speed. And what this this grid shows you is kind of like what that speed is, because for everything it's a completely different number, right? Like if it's a CRA top, it'll be like closer to this number. If it's something arcane, it's closer to that number. If it's a Golux item, it'll be closer to this number, right? So you have to know if you have advantage or not on an item. And it'll basically just help you keep track of what is, if you're around that number, then you don't have to worry about it at all. And well, I can look through all the flames, but there's probably some items where you can easily make some gains with flames now, probably on the Abzo stuff, and then maybe a little bit on the CRA, right? That's the general order, flame advantage stuff, high level to low level. But it's definitely predominantly in the Star Force. So I'm not saying like go spend a bunch of money on flames right now, but what I am saying is that if you have flames, you can always go back to this grid and check like, okay, what kind of level is my item? Does it have flame advantage? What kind of flame score am I aiming for? And then which item has the biggest potential gains right now? You know, if one item has is like 60 below where it could be, and the other item is like 3 below, well, that should very obviously tell you like which item has more exactly has more value if you throw the flame on there. And you will get them from bossing, but not as much at this point, of course. But just to know where the balance lies. The main thing would be to look for patch notes, and then look for 30% off event, and then hard focus on that. We'll go into the details on that, but just to have everything sure. And then arcane power wise, you're also a little bit on the lower end. Are you doing all the dailies, or are there some dailies that you're not too happy with?
I detest the ever-living hell out of
Dream Defender?
What one is it? Spirit
Savior?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arcana one. So I've kind of not been doing the Arcana one. But a lot of the other areas, it's just been a case of I was not playing for a week-ish, so I didn't do a lot of my dailies then. But I mean, like right now, for instance, all the symbols are close to leveling. VJ is on 100 out of 132, so that'll be going up to 12. Choo Choo's on 91 out of 132, that'll be leveling probably tomorrow or today. Blackline's about to level. Like, they're all about to level, so that's another like 60 Arcane Force. So I'll be on 715 Arcane Force, probably by tomorrow. So it's just basically missing some days here and there, and then obviously just how long it's taken to get some of the symbols. Like I know I'd probably be at least 2-3 levels higher on the Spirit Chaser one. Was it Spirit Chaser? I said. Sorry, the Arcana one.
Yeah, Spirit Savior for Arcana, yeah.
Levels higher. The Lackline one, the first couple of days of having that symbol, I didn't actually realise that you could talk to the rabbit.
Yeah.
And actually do that. So I've obviously missed out on a few symbols on that. And I kind of got
what floor do you do in Dream Defender?
I've not tried pushing it recently. The first couple of times I'd done it, I was kind of a little confused on it, and I got up to floor 20 and then just stopped, not realizing like if I go back in, you can just continue for that floor.
Yeah.
So I recently pushed up to 40. I'm probably going to try and push up to about 60. And then just keep trying to maybe push the 10 floors whenever I've just got downtime or whatever. See how high I can get. I think 70 should easily be achievable. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but I don't see.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say so. The monsters in there are counting as boss damage. It's also like there's a little bit of strategy to it, of course. And you do have strong summons, so you can plop some summons down, go do something else. The summons will, you know, they will stop the monsters from spawn. Or when they spawn, they kill them immediately, and it's the monsters that corrupt the boxes, so that allows you to slow down the corruption. That's quite useful. You could throw a domain in somewhere. You could do a bunch of skills. That big blue spirit circle, because the maps are connected in some way, they're all in the same dimension. Sometimes the blue spirit circle can start from one and actually make it into another dimension and hit the box in another one sometimes, because they're like on top of each other. Like if you go down and blue spirit circle, you can actually see it show up like in the bottom of the middle platform near the end of the... It's pretty interesting. Or the middle one can float up into the top one, yeah, and actually hit it there.
Huh, I see. I wasn't aware of that. So like that's like, just something I could try. But I'll see how it goes. Like just try and push as high as I get.
Yeah, like guild skills and stuff, right? Monster proc potions, just plop everything and try to see if you can... yeah, I don't know if you guys have those, but try to see if you can climb to the next 10. If you don't reach the next 10, like, I don't know, if you're reaching like 8 or 9, then maybe optimizing a little bit can get you there. But if you don't reach it at all, it's fine. But yeah, don't try to like push every day, right? Just go in, highest decimal, clear it, go out. Don't waste time like trying to climb every day, because some people make that mistake and that's very inefficient. The thing I say, well, so you're doing like the 2 dailies per area, right? In Vanishing Journey, Choo Choo, in Lackline, the extra daily in the other map there, and then talking to the NPCs if you do your 3 runs. Yes,
doing basically all the stuff in all the other areas.
What for Spirit Savior? What is mainly holding you back there?
It's just I really despise the event. I never really found events or modes like that very fun. Like I've watched it, watched people do it, done it myself. Like I know the points are really easy. It's just basically get 10k over a couple of runs.
Yeah.
Obviously, with me being such a high level, if I got 10k in one run, that would be it.
You're done for the day, yeah.
You're done for the day, but I just kind of...
And 10 symbols.
That little chasey boy kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
Although watching you do it right now, goddamn, it's like, it's speed. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go and try it. I go try it, and the thing's like instantly on me no matter what. Catches me within seconds, and I'm just like, yeah, do this.
So the main thing when I go in is on the top left is you maximize the map, right? So now you can see the whole map, and then it's all a matter of like looking where the red dots are and planning out your voyage. So going all the way to the side like I'm doing now, and then jumping gives you like good distance between you and also I'm very not experienced with Kanna, so I'm making a bunch of mistakes, but I have experience in the sense that I know where to go and how to... I think the finishing, once you have the spirits, is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
That can go wrong very easily, and then like he had this teleporting, so you kind of just stop your momentum. That's a very good tool to use, and the jumpers are very important to use as well, because it gives you a lot of speed. So like here, you just wait until he comes, and then when you have enough speed You go over. So I never go through the middle usually because down jump is bugged a lot.
Yeah.
So like
Definitely.
jump teleport hits that. Go over the jumper. Go up.
Disgusting.
You know, yeah,
Nice.
use the Shikigami charm to get vertical mobility there, and then use teleport to like stop the momentum.
Hmm. I know that there's also you can do a trick that if he does get close to you and you've just broken one of the spirits out, you can wait until he gets close to you, click the spirit and it stuns him for just a couple of seconds, and then you can obviously blink to the other side of him. Or teleport, whatever you want to call it. I'm so used to like WoW terminology.
Yeah,
and,
with
like,
my ping, I don't like teleporting because it's his hitbox and where I am are usually not really where he exactly is. So I have to be super careful with my ping as a player. Yeah, but yeah, so this is like the first try that I'm doing when I'm not really playing the character, but you do have to kind of just... It's kind of the same as with bossing. You just run into some problems. Like here, this jumper is very important. Jumper, and then Exorcist Charm gets you up there, kills it. That's a very easy trick. You did Charm here to get the extra speed. Look at how far ahead of the monster you are, even when I took that long. And from here, down jumping, you jump right into the middle. He can never catch you here. It's easy.
Grab that and then that's it, you're done. Yeah, okay, goddamn.
But that's a 15, so you can make some mistakes. But like the 10k runs, yeah, I mean it's just too good to not advise to do that or to try to get better at that because it's 10 symbols a day. You know, like every month that's 300 symbols. That's like basically the last level symbol in a month. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I think about it, say even that's like 2 months and it's 600 symbols, with my symbol being what level is my Arcana one? It is only level 7. So
yeah, that's probably level 14 or something.
Yeah, probably.
13, 14, yeah.
And then obviously I know you don't get like percent buffs on it, but that's what, another like 700 int as well, which pushes me up to like what, 19k.
And that's where well, that's where the stat, 19.2. Well, that's where part of the stat also comes from, right? So I'm looking at Star Force, that's lower, but the Arcane power is also quite a bit lower. That's where also some of that stat difference comes from. So that's why those two are probably the more important things to focus on, because, like, flames are going to be on the side. For Star Forcing, we're looking for a 30% off, and we'll talk about the strategy on approaching that and saving up for that in a bit. Flames, as long as you're aware of where you're going and what the numbers are that you're roughly aiming for, then that's just something that goes on the side. And the potentials, you know, that's more something that you work on when you're not actively saving up for Star Force, but more something that you're focusing on once you're getting either, you know, once it's already 15 and you're waiting for a 15 and it's not been announced yet, then you can work on the potential a bit. Or when you get it to 17 and, you know, you're not at that point yet when you're on a risk booming, that's when you work more on the on the potentials. So you know, that's like the general thing that we're gonna keep in mind. We're gonna keep in mind, of course, crit rate and ID and all that stuff in terms of you know, the big puzzle, right? You have your hyperstats, your link skills, your legion board. All of that stuff is kind of working together as a big puzzle to make sure you reach these numbers, and then once you have them, after that you optimize it in damage as much as possible. But it's you have to have that foundation correct, otherwise you won't be able to commit any of your damage. Not when you're training, you know, in critical damage, and not when you're bossing in critical damage and in the boss damage, and if the ID is not good enough. Okay, so enough motivation on that. The flame stuff, critical rate, we'll keep that in mind. Yeah, so hyperstat wise, there's definitely optimization that we can do. We'll circle back to that. Let's see what's the best thing to do first. I think the matrix, we can clean that up to make a lot of gains as well, because I think kind of like the lack of access to skill nodes. Do you keep this for both mobbing and bossing, or do you switch some things around? Because you mentioned holy symbol.
Yeah, basically, obviously, take out the Sengoku force, the top left one, put in holy symbol. Obviously, now I know I need to get the blue circle, get that in for bossing. Just let me check. Also have the Ghost Yaksha for like when I'm doing farming and obviously loot like rotations. Usually just plop that down when I'm wanting to get all the mesos picked up and that.
Yeah. Wait, so is this is this right now? Is this your boss setup?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really bad.
Yeah, just trying to get it clear. Yeah, but it's really bad. But we'll yeah.
Really, really bad.
We'll look at so when it comes to the boost nodes, are you familiar with all like the numbers and which skills you want and what to aim for and everything?
Yeah, I know it's like you want certain tri-nodes and obviously like you want X skill on the top. Like for instance, there's one I've got that's obviously got like Shikigami and Exorcist and Yosuzumi. I've got that in and slotted, so it's level 15. I know if I pushed it up more, it would allow me to take away another one that's got Shikigami in it, because I know I'm overboard with the level of my Shikigami hunting. I know obviously like in some circumstances you want Kishin level, but then in other circumstances you want Exorcist's charm, depending on the map layout. So I do kind of have an idea of everything that you need. It's just kind of, I've never really optimized the V matrix. I've just kind of been saving symbols. Sorry, node stones.
Notes, yeah.
I think I've got about 65 node stones at the moment. It's not much, but I've just been saving them kind of up. So that at one point I can just open them all. Like, again, as I say, I was waiting kind of until I decided to go for a prog session.
Yep.
I can just open them all up and go, right, this has got this, this, and this. Keep this one, get rid of this one. Keep this one, get rid of this one, kind of stuff.
Yep. So what else do you have like down here in the matrix? Like, do you have, so you have the Yaksha and you have Holy Symbol, and what else is down there? Because it's kind of like part of the, or is there not too much of importance there?
Yeah, there really, really isn't. There is only, give me 1 second.
Well, you said you didn't have the other one, but do you have like Ethereal Form? Do you have Mana Overload?
No, don't have
You have Princess Sakuno's Blessing?
Down there I have my decent Holy Symbol, Advanced Blessing. Oh, I've got 2 Spirits Domains. I can stick them into Spirits Domain. I've got my Ghost Yaksha, and then I've just got a couple of garbage ones.
Like boost nodes, you mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
a couple of garbage tri-nodes that have no use. There's nothing really there that I've saved or knew to like, okay, this one is really good. Like, most of the time, I've kind of just been stupid, got rid of the stuff I needed, just because I've not really thought, okay, at this point in time, what I'm doing, I need this. So, yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So, when it comes to boost nodes, so the highest level that you want to get to is 60, or the highest level that you can get to per skill is level 60. And the slots go up to 5, and the nodes go up to 25. So 25 plus 5 times 2, and then that hits that 60. So like the ideal situation eventually is that all of the skills you want to have boosted are in 2 separate boost nodes that are each level 25 and in level 5 slot, and then you're maxed out. If you're just farming, then there's about 6 skills that you want. So that makes it so that you can get 4 boost nodes, right? That cover all of those 6 skills 2 times. If you're maining your character and you want to min-max your damage even further, then typically you go for 6 boost nodes on the Kanna specifically. So there's like addition of 2 extra. I've heard from some people they try to put what was it? Was it Kanna? Or Kishin? There was some boost node that they didn't put in their mobbing one, so that for endgame they can make it so that that skill doesn't one-shot, so it can trigger Ghost Boss. Night Ghost Guide, I mean. So that you don't get like KS'd.
Tengu Strike.
Was it Tengu
I
Strike?
know Tengu Strike, if that kills mobs, it can decrease the timer on Kishin's uptime. That's one of the ones that wrecks it. You can safely use Vanquisher's Charm, Exorcist Charm, but if your Tengu strike one shots, it's kind of not good for Kishin uptime.
Okay.
But I'm looking at it now, like after you saying that obviously you want all your nodes in too, whereas I've got them all spread out over, like for instance, I've got Haunting on 4 different boost nodes at the moment.
Yeah, and in the beginning that's fine. It's not necessarily bad, but if it goes at the expense of access of skill nodes too much, then it becomes bad. And like, so if you're having trouble with bosses and survivability with bosses, you know, having the big Yaksha, which can be an iframe on activation, and weapon aura, like having 2 extra iframes in there is of course like huge value compared to like low level boost nodes. Especially when survivability is the most important thing. So that's one thing. The other thing is that Holy Symbol you pretty much want to have always in there. But again, we're talking also a little bit in terms of mobbing setup optimization and bossing setup optimization, right?
Yeah.
So typically the Sengoku Force, that's like one that probably comes into play around now as like the last one. But at level 1, of course, it's not as big. Like domain is the most important thing, right? Like domain is super important, and then at least 4 boost nodes. So that's like the first 5 slots. They're like always guaranteed. They're like locked in. If you're bossing, I would put in the iframes. And then maybe only the weapon, maybe only the ethereal form because of the short cooldown, and then maybe keep the Yaksha just for like the full map Yaksha, right, for the mobbing.
Yeah.
But I think we want to like reduce the amount of boost nodes to 4. We could reduce it to 6. But you want to have at least 2 extra like, skill nodes in there. And then when you're bossing, later the Princess Akuno's Blessing is very good. Mana Overload is very good. It's just, I think it's 7 or 8% final damage just all the time by having it toggled on. For both mobbing and bossing, it'll increase your damage by a lot.
Yeah, well, looking at it right now, Node Crafting and then Princess Akuno. Yeah, 7%, I think it is.
No, that's the mana overload. The Princess Akuno is that one also gives final damage. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so like the combination of that plus domain plus the big blue ball plus the bind plus your Vanquisher Charm being leveled and then all of that hitting would be an insane.
That's a lot
boost.
of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
And that's when they come. That's why Kannas do come online hardcore when they get to like endgame. Still, like throughout mid game and the early stages of the late game, you're still mainly just a support. But then, as a full mage, they do come online. So it's going to be a matter of figuring out which boost nodes are like the closest to what you want to keep and which ones are not. So I think we'd want to keep the more bossing heavy things on the same node, which would mean in your situation, I think is 1, 2, 3. Because I think we're talking about like Yosuzume. Well, you're aware of like the transferring of the experience and when you have to extract, like the differences with that.
I know if I extract a node, it basically gives me Sweet FL back. But if I put it into another one, like if I had, I don't know, I'll just say like Kishin and Shikigami on 2 lines, and then I had them on Kishin and the Ghost Guide, I know I could just like put one into the other one, and it would basically, I believe it gives you the full XP, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that in mind, we don't want to, if we're making like more and more boost nodes, or boost nodes that don't have a top skill that we eventually want, you don't want to level them too high because you're going to have to extract them and get that reduced efficiency back. So you have one with, what is it, what is this one? The one with the jump? Is it Shikigami Charm?
Exorcist Charm, the one where you jump up and put the like effect around you.
Yeah, no, the other one, the one that's like the up jump.
Oh, that's yeah, Shikigami Charm.
Is that the name? I don't know. Well, you have that one level 2, right? And then you also have a Night Ghost guide at level 8.
Yeah.
We could, I think, salvage the Night Ghost guide if you want to be one of the third set. Because I don't think it's set in stone what you want there exactly. I can check with Exclamation Mark Kanna what they say. See if they take it into account the They're extracting boost nodes is better if they're at 0%. Well, yeah, because they just look at the level. They don't look at the they don't look at the amount of experience in there. So that's technically more efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've got many Vanquisher's Charm leveled actually. What is my Vanquisher's Charm?
Yeah, that one's kind of normal. That's one. That one is like the lower version 2.14. Hopefully this is like updated to the end.
Yeah, my Vanquisher's Charm.
Oh yeah, your Spirit Lady is not in there either.
Oh yeah, the one that reduces my mana consumption.
Yeah.
She's also our damage while farming is kind of bleh. So that's why she's kind of not been in there. But again, it's just more focused on that kind of just farming at the moment. Not so much to boost the bossing, but I know that there's like a hell of a lot of easy gains if I put in some right ones. But yeah, looking at Vanquisher's Charm, like I know how much damage that does when I drop down my domain, because obviously like it seems that Charm is the way to charge the domain. And that Charm does a hell of a lot of damage, so that's only like level 12 at the moment.
Yeah, well, and it's the other combo, right? So you plop down you get the domain and the summon Yuki-onna, right? Because that lowers your costs, and that allows you. So first the domain, then the spirit, and then you hold down the Vanquisher Charm, and that allows you to just fill out the whole domain within the Vanquisher Charm without like maybe running out of mana while you're doing it, and like getting blocked from your skill and having to use different skills. Because the Yuki-onna makes the consumption lower. So that combo is like very important to set up your domain as fast as possible so that you can do other skills and completely benefit from your domain being up. And that also makes the domain bigger, which means if you're mobbing, you have a bigger area of monsters that's dying instantly, and when you're bossing, there's a bigger area where if you stand in that, you get the bonus damage. So those three work together very, very strongly. But again, your Vanquisher's Charm doesn't have to be boosted early on, right, to make if you're mostly supportive. So that one is typically part of like boost node 5 and 6. Yeah. But like these are the 6 skills we want to boost early on, right? So the Shikigami Hunting, the Tengu Strike, the Exorcist Charm, the Kishin, the Boss, and Yusuzume. And then later we add these two, the Vanquisher Charm and the Doppelganger. Those are going to be a lot of damage when you're mostly bossing, when you are doing the big damage, basically. But when it comes to the earlier ones here, so for farming, you have these 4. So I guess these 2 we mentioned. And then the Spirit, I was forgetting that one. So good thing I double-checked this. And you have the Sharp Eyes. So the Spirits, what is it called? Liberated Spirit Circle might be a little bit, might depend on which map you're in, I guess. If you find that, that it's casting you and you can't keep your Kishin up, then you can switch it out for another temporary boost node. But I would check with it. You can always use like Urda's Will. Speed Infusion is very, very low priority. It only works on a few of your skills, so it's not that important to use. And then for bossing, so these are the ones I mentioned, right? Like Weapon Aura and the Mana Overload for the final damage. Mana Overload does make you take HP damage when you use skills, so you have to be careful with your positioning and everything, and with healing. And then the Princess Sakuno for the extra final damage is very high up here, right? Like, so you need this one to activate this one properly, and then the big final damage. This one helps, has good uptime. This one does a lot of damage. So these are like the priority ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting that they put the speed infusion over like the decent advanced blessing, because you do get the HP and the MP and more than the hyper body. So that's interesting that it's still better. But then decent combat orders comes in. It also gives you more magic attack from your secondary weapon, etc. But this is when you're passing. I don't know. This is like when you're passing level. Well, it's probably when you're like level 250, I guess, right? Because the boost nodes are going to consolidate more. And the
yeah, I mean by then I'll have what, another 4 slots.
Yeah, you'll have 4 slots. 1, 2, well, at least 3 more slots. You can buy another one, so there should be no problem. Blinks you want to hold on to for now, because that's gonna get stronger. So basically, for all of these, for Blinks, for Will of Urda, for the decent skills. Like if you get them, just level them up, don't extract them, but also don't make any extra, right? If you're going to be making extra now, you want to make for these two, and that's because the uptime on both of them increases, and I think the cooldown also decreases for the lady.
I know it does for the domain, but I'm not sure on Yuki Onna. I'll check that out though.
Yeah.
Basically making notes as we go.
Yeah. Yeah, but those are like the important ones to level as far as I know. And then Holy Symbol, of course, the extra drop and the EXP. So when you're training, that's very useful. But yeah, to take back to the boost nodes, I guess these 4. Yeah, you want to look at the level as well. Because we want to prioritize the higher level ones, right?
Yeah.
And trying to consolidate. This one has a doppelganger on it. But yeah, like the Night Ghost Guide you don't want to boost, and the Shikigami Charm also you don't want to boost. So I mean that still leaves you with 7 nodes right now, but I think those 2 will be safe to just disassemble and not focus on anymore. And basically any node that starts with any one of those skills you can immediately disassemble, right? So anything that starts with these, with Orochi, Binding Tempest, Pandemonium, Shikigami Charm, Night Ghost Guide, Falling Sakura, you could just disassemble all of those when you get them.
Yeah, chuck them in the bin basically.
Yeah, so you immediately have a cleaner inventory, so you know there's fewer things to scroll through, and you immediately are more aware of like how many shards you have and how many you can use.
Yeah. Well, I've moved the stuff a little around a little, just so I know like, okay, that's staying, that's staying, that's staying.
Yeah, and one of those other ones will have to go to, or you could keep it as like a third one for now, and then turn it into a third, because essentially you're gonna have a free slot here on the third one anyway. So if that ends up being a skill you already have, and you're like over leveling, that's not too bad. That's probably better than picking a third skill that doesn't really help you, over extracting it now and then remaking another one with no help. So there's still one of them will still have to go. So that probably the best thing there to do is just to get rid of the lowest level one, is probably what I would do. And then the two that have the worst combination that you don't need right now could be the ones that you don't actively use. I'm thinking the easiest one. Yeah, this one is like the lower level, but this one makes sense too. Yeah, you just have a lot of charm, right? Both Exorcist and Shikigami, you got a lot of charming going on.
Yeah.
Total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm just trying to turn the mobs to my side rather than having to kill them, you know?
Yeah.
Sadly, that doesn't work.
Well, we can.
I've got the page bookmarked anyway now as well, so I can look at that more like in depth and fully take time. Like I'm obviously going to open up all these nodes probably later, obviously once the progression session's over, so I can look at all that and take away the ones that are unnecessary. Obviously keep like the lady, oh god, I'm gonna start calling her the lady now because of you.
Sorry.
And then
Yeah, what is it?
obviously
Yuki
get, like,
Onna,
the
Yuki
yeah,
Onna
Yuki
Shokan or
Onna.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, just start focusing on the ones I've got to keep.
But I think Onna means
and
lady.
obviously,
That's why. Okay, because I know
yeah.
Japanese. Okay, I'm worldly like that. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully that opens up your options a little bit, allows you to move some
Yeah.
of the existing ones into new ones to solidify more.
The thing is, even like removing some of the bloat, and potentially putting in some of like the ones that buff my stats is also even just going to kind of help me in the mobbing side of stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of
too bad overall.
just mass low level nodes is not necessarily better than having more skill nodes in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like boosting something by 2% isn't really going to do anything. Whereas if I can boost like my stats by 10% or my final damage by 7% or whatever, then yeah.
Exactly. Final damage is what you want to
Again, I
look
didn't
at.
didn't even think about that until now.
Yeah.
It's something so simple to overlook, but you kind of do overlook it without someone saying to you, by the way. Hey,
By the way. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. For some classes, it makes sense. If you don't really need the skill nodes, you can just go a bunch of boost nodes, max out your skills. But then after a while, you need to like retreat again, and especially if you want to do more bossing, because that's when the amount of skills you have access to is way more valuable than just having the insane boost nodes.
Yeah.
Especially if you need the survivability and like the Yuki Onna to make sure that your domain charges quickly. And efficiently, and that the whole team can be like, okay, like I'm charging, and then that they don't have to wait like 25 seconds because like, oh, I ran out of mana, and now I'm like spamming Tengu to try to finish charging the domain, right? Lock feature is very helpful. Yeah, are you familiar with the lock feature?
No.
You can like right click and lock them, so that if there's a bunch of them that you don't need and they're all unlocked, you can do like extract all, and it just like extracts all of them immediately. That can help, and you also makes it so you don't accidentally extract the ones that you don't want to.
Oh yeah. Lock. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Lock that. Scardor says keep that one. Lock that one. Cool.
All right, yeah, but I think cleaning that up on the V matrix is going to be. I think that's going to be a good thing. That should give a lot of gains there. Okay, Link skill-wise and Legion, you're still building out. You were working on the Explorer Mages, yes?
Yes.
Yeah,
so the next ones is Fire Poison and, well, 2 bishops, turn one into a Fire Poison, keep the other one as a bishop.
Yeah, exactly. So this is also your bossing setup, right? Yeah.
Yes, this is actually... I would say this is probably the one that I always run for bossing. I don't really feel like any other links really bring much benefit to
so
me.
I would say the Miha link skill would be a good one to consider.
Yeah, for CVL and stuff.
Just for anything, like for Chaos Papulatus is going to be very helpful. Because he like bumps you into clocks all the time. Him not being able to do that is a huge load off your shoulders. The other thing is probably I would like put prepare to die at like a lower level of important.
Yes, that's what I was thinking was taking off time to prepare and putting on something like Solace or something.
Yeah, Solace is very good. The just level 2 Cygnus Blessing is of course also not doing all that much. And Hybrid Logic will lose some of its scaling as you go further, as your potentials get better. So those are probably the 3 that are like considering replacing. And I consider Solace. I would consider the Mihail link skill, and I would consider the Resistance link skill that gives you the immunity when you respawn. Especially if you're going to do the higher level bosses. Those 3, I think, would be the ones that would replace those 3. That would make your whole bossing setup more, just more efficient. Then later, if you get into the more IED, right? Like if the skill disappears, the boost skill, the event skill, sorry, and you need the crit rate, Probably look at either Bravado or Rin's Blessing to replace it with the Explorer Archers if you have those at that point to get to 100%. Again, the ID not as important because you are mainly going to be support. But if you do find your damage to bossing suffering and your ID is going to be a little bit on the lower end, hopefully by that time you'll be looking at maybe redoing the emblem to try to get magic attack and ID there together as a bit better value for your account than purely the magic attack you have now. Or the Helix set comes into play hopefully at some point and gives you the ID there. Or your Legion gets bigger and you can put more pieces into the Legion ID part of the grid, and then that ID will help cover that difference.
Yep. Cool.
So those are the pieces that we're looking. By the way, we're probably already going to move the ID now, which is probably the best for your current Legion setup.
No worries.
Compared to where it is. Yeah.
Time to prepare the now. I'm putting Solace on.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
You have level... Well, you have almost level 3, right? You have level 2 Solace. If you get it level 3, it's actually really nice. Because the Arc is level 200, I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, 210, you get another 5%. So you get up to 16% damage all the time, basically, when you're doing anything. It's really, really solid Link skill.
The Zero, I've not done any of the last few chapters, so it's like that's going to be an easy level 200 as well.
Yep. And it gives you more Legion on the board, so that's also very useful. Yeah, and those are the ones that come in right instead of like Fury Unleashed and Light Wash, and the Empirical Knowledge is like the Evan Aaron and the Mercedes.
Yeah.
You have all 3 of those? Yeah, Evan. You don't have the... Oh, yeah, the Aaron is down here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, the Link skills will be more and more different from mobbing to bossing as you build out your entire roster, but that's, slowly over time, of course.
Yeah. It's also just if, like, I find a character that maybe I like mobbing on more. Like, I know eventually one day they might all be, like, 200 plus. I might find that I like this character more, or I might like this character more for certain situations. So
for sure.
I know it's going to be very different. That's why I'm trying to make sure I kind of have a balance. So it's kind of good that my daughter's picking random classes, I guess. Although I'll never agree with her picking Angelic Buster. That class is horrible. I don't like that one.
Yeah, that's like when you become like the big solo burster and stuff as a Kanna, then eventually you want to get that Link skill, but until then it's a pretty low priority for you, so no worries there.
Yeah, definitely.
It gets dex stat and a bursting Link skill, so not a huge Kanna priority. No. So I guess we could go back now with all of that information, also a little bit go back to the hyperstats. The general value of the hyperstats, from what I understand, when you're bossing, you do want to put a little bit more into mana to make it easier, because once you start putting up barriers and stuff, your mana income goes down, and it'll be harder to make sure that you keep just spamming all your skills and stuff. So for mana, eventually people go up to 5 or even up to 10, I think. The main one that you can go down in would be just the flat intellect. It's kind of a bait, because the intellect is not multiplied by percentages, but it's a flat amount, like in Arcane Symbols, and therefore it's not as good as the other stuff, and stuff like critical damage and boss damage and damage would be preferable. So it's kind of up to you if you're going to. If you're still just building, we could still go now for a little bit of a hybrid setup, right, where we go for both mobbing and bossing. And once you start doing the harder bosses, or you start needing, those really, really good rates, I guess if you're mobbing, the highest priority would be Arcane Power if you need it to reach like the threshold to be able to kill faster in the map, right? So that's like a little bit of experience. Critical rate is mainly critical rate is also just useful, right? You want to get to 100%. And wait, hello?
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Okay. You were like very...
sorry.
You sounded very far away all of a sudden. Okay. Critical damage, very important. And then ID and boss damage only when you're bossing. And then damage percentage is always important. So later on, when you start specifying, you can go into Arcane Power if you need it, and into EXP, as long as your kill speed is like right where you want it to be, instead of getting any ID and any boss damage. And then if you switch over, you go back into boss damage and ID at the favor of those two stats. But intellect can pretty much stay empty, but mana is probably going to need to go higher. And then, yeah, any extra you have can go into HP or MP or intellect, you know, or into magic attack a little bit, just to do something with like the last 20 points or something when you can't level any of the others anymore. But like, yeah, crit rate, crit damage, damage, boss damage, like those will be the higher priorities.
Right, cool.
Well, ID, of course, when you're bossing, by far, right? Because of the
yeah, definitely.
Because we're still Kannas. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then we talked about the inner ability. If you can YOLO some crit in there, then that will take a whole load off of the hyperstats. Will basically give you all the freedom you need in the Legion board, and probably if you do end up getting the Archer link skill in there to hit the 100%, then it'll allow you to get rid of that as well, which of course, when it comes to value, that's like the lowest value link skill probably in there that can be replaced at that point. Other than that, inner ability is fine, of course. As the chat did point out in the beginning, you do have 6 strength, which there's got to be some clicking that that happened there. I don't know if you can still reset those points, I think, right?
Wait, did I actually put...
Well, maybe your daughter did. I don't know. Maybe if she leveled.
Did I actually put... I can't remember putting... Huh.
Yeah, no, it's just 2 stat, but yeah, if you have the money, you do an AP reset. It's like AP reset, click, double click, auto assign, all intellect done. It's pretty fast, but now that you know it, you're probably not gonna be able to look around it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to reset that now. I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, no, surely not.
I think Beast Tamers, there's another class who actually gets extra base and they can't get around it, and it's always happens. I don't think it's Kanna though, but I don't know which other class it is.
I'll just AP reset. I'm gonna go full strength Kanna. Screw it.
Yeah, just smack him with your fan. Dual wielding with the 2 fans.
Running about on Haku while in the mount form, just slapping everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so familiar wise, we're not doing basically anything until Moonbridge, right? We're just extracting and getting points, and then Moonbridge we're starting to fuse up.
Yeah, basically just while I do any dailies, I just grab the blue ones. I've not really been checking the abilities on the white ones, the common ones.
Yeah.
The blue ones, I've been checking their abilities and trying to get, obviously, the ID or the meso drop or the item drops, and just try to keep them. And then I think I got one familiar that I've been kind of putting stuff into because it was quite good, but then I don't obviously want to push them up in case I lose that good ability. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, if they have the rank you want, then don't rank them up. But you're probably not going to be ranking up at all right now because you're just not going to have enough of the same kind, so it's going to be a lot of extraction. Once you train in an area where they drop, that's when you can really start fusing them up together, and then it'll be a good idea, to unlock the 3rd slot so you can have one that's like a drop rate or a meso drop rate, like any kind of combination on one familiar, and then the other 2 familiars can just be randos that you're trying to level up so that you can fuse them and rank them up and hopefully get some nice epic or unique, depending on how much you play, unique familiars.
One thing I wanted to ask on the familiars, actually, because people were discussing it. Hi, honey.
Hi, Dad.
Did you have a good day at school? Sorry, daughter's home. Somebody said that you can only have like one of the item drop and one of the meso drops because in those circumstances they stack. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't stack with the same kind. It's all just the biggest percentage might is right, basically. But one of each can be active, and depending on how much total drop rate you have, it's possible that the meso drop rate doesn't effectively do anything if you already have enough drop rate coming from other sources. Because when it comes to familiars, the item drop rate and the meso drop rate is separate, but all the other sources of drop rate include both of them in one.
Alright, I see.
There's here I have in the chat I made a command there with how everything stacks together and what all the sources are and what the percentages are and that you need and everything. So that should specify it more.
Right, cool. I'll save that as well then. Brilliant.
Yep.
But yeah, the familiars isn't too bad. Like I say, I know I could get, like I could go and brainlessly farm for God knows how long until certain mobs drop their cards. Um, but I'll just wait until I get to the higher levels. I'm 2 badges away. That one last familiar, even though it's going to give me potentially 15% more IED, it's not going to make that huge a difference on the final IED number. For now, for what I'm at, I know. But I know when it gets to later on, that could be useful. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just let that last slot come to me in time.
Yeah. Okay. So for the Legion grid, basically once you get access to the outer edges, so once you hit 2K, but especially once you hit 3K, you basically want to start moving away from the middle of the grid, and the middle is just not as important anymore. And you just you need to use the middle to connect the outsides, but that's about it. It's possible at 3K, especially if your characters are decently high level, that you still end up putting a decent amount in the middle, because maybe you cover all the outside and you still have some left. But once you hit 4K and onward, you're going to be completely moving away. So do you have 2 presets, or do you just have this one?
I did have 2. But I reset the second one. This one basically at the moment is just because I've been leveling a lot of using classes. I know that the bonus XP is basically negligible with the amount that I get. But the crit rate and then obviously the int and the magic attack on those low levels, I've kind of felt like it does make my leveling on alts just that little bit faster. Because I believe on most alts that I've been leveling, once I get to certain stages, if they have crit rate buff skills, I end up being on like 100% crit rate on a few alts that I've been leveling. So that's kind of why this board is like this at the moment. Second one...
This is the Legion one then, right?
Yeah, I've not really done the second one. I've just been, again, waiting to see like what the best way to do it would be for me. I know I still need to leave some in crit rate, so...
Yeah, for sure. I think for both of them, I would fill out the crit rate completely. So I think the basis to start with is you can take like the archer pieces and the mage pieces are just a flat 3-line piece, right? Or 3-block piece.
Yes.
We just put one of those like in the middle and then just connect just horizontally between critical damage and critical rate, and then fill out critical rate and critical damage in both of the grids. And then for the Kanna, I would go into IED and fill out the IED one. Right. And then for the Legion one, I would probably fill out the middle. Yeah, the bonus experience is too low. I don't think that's worth it. But I would fill out the middle a little bit more, and then either weapon attack or magic attack. Right, you can change it regarding what character you're leveling. Or the intellect. If you have left over, we could do some maths. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 into 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Basically all of the bonus experience goes into critical damage, right? And the rest goes into connecting the two. And then basically where intellect and magic attack are now, they'll be where magic attack and dex are now, right? So that's where you have the most pieces in it. And then you just have magic attack, and where dex is now will become either magic attack and intellect, or dex and weapon attack, whatever class you're on, but just mainly critical rate and critical damage, like for the Legion board. And then for the Kanna, instead of filling out more where the magic attack and the dex is now, you'll fill out the IED, and if you have any left, go into boss damage.
Right, cool. I will set that up later as well then.
Awesome. Yeah, if you think stick out, it's not that bad. If you're at 3, once you get the 4K and once the pieces level individually, they'll get bigger anyway and start sticking out. So if they start sticking out to the outside, it's not like the end of the world either.
Oh no, can't he have anything sticking into Dex for that? That would...
Yeah, you got one piece in HP now. That one is... It's almost like a character, like... It's got like an eye. Sorry. It's got like a nose and a mouth and a chin and then the eye.
For God's sake, how do you see that? Oh yeah, I see it now. Thanks. Oh God.
And he's got the measles, I think, because the spotted plague going on.
Great. I can't unsee it now. I'm going to have to sort my Legion board as
Yeah,
soon
now you
as
have
I
to
come off now.
Yeah, the AP and now this, you have to fix everything because.
Oh, God.
But yeah, they'll allow you to get a lot more value out of the work you've already put into the Legion, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
You have put the
it's
work
like,
in.
I had everything at like 60 or 70. And obviously, like, seeing how sparse the Legion board was, and then I'm like, do you know what? Let's just push all the classes up to like 140. Let's get their second like link skill. Let's get a little bit more value.
So
on the
much more
Legion board.
coverage in the board, yeah.
And I'm like, oh god, I can cover so much now.
Yeah, it's plus
And then I'm like,
50%, right? You're going from 2 to 3, which is just 50% more
Yeah.
coverage with the same amount of characters. Yeah, it's huge.
So it's like, it's not too bad to. I kind of worked it out that I still have 19 characters I can make, even if I just like done 2 characters a day to 70, which isn't that much. It's usually quite quick to do 2 characters.
Yeah.
Then obviously that's going to give me
That's like 1.5.
almost 1400
Yeah.
if I do them just to 70.
Yeah.
So that's going to push me to what, 4.5k just by those alts, and then once I push them to 140, that's obviously putting me very, very close to
Close to 6, yeah.
6k, yeah.
Yep.
So it's very easy that I'm going to be able to get up to that Legion.
Yep.
It's just trying to do it at the moment.
Yeah, once you get to 6, it's the main thing is like, oh my god, I have so much. You have so much room, but you fill almost. It looks like you're filling nothing because you'll like fill IED and critical damage and enough crit rate, and then connect them, and then that's it. Like you're not gonna have any more. Even like, you're gonna have to get everything to 200 to fill it out, which will mean 8k Legion, and that's when you can like really.
Oh, I'm skipping.
Get the
I'm
fill.
skipping 8k, going straight for 10k.
Oh yeah, okay, straight of 10k. Okay, yeah.
Bugger that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, going to show off your Legion, eh?
Yeah,
God
like
damn.
you can really only do this on 8k because the pieces will just be way smaller, right? There's 37 characters in there. If most of them are one size smaller, then that's like, well, except for your main, right? Like say that's or a few, that's like 33 characters less or something. One whole grid is 40, right? So that's basically an entire grid less. So at 6k, what you're looking at is like these two full, a line of connection, and then enough in this, and maybe some here, but like that's it. But you're gonna be a whole grid lower. So it is still valuable, but you know, further down the line for sure. Yeah.
I mean, what, you filling out those is giving you like 40% in the boss damage in that, isn't it?
Yeah, 40 boss. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, like, that's a hell of a lot of stats that I'm missing out on. And then obviously the ignored defense and that. And the crit damage is probably, it would push me up to like cap on, well, not cap, but 100% crit damage and stuff, which would be, no wait, is it?
This one gives 20.
crit
Yeah,
damage,
this 20.
right?
It's
Yeah, so
0.5%
push me
per
up to,
year.
like, what would that push me up to?
Yeah, if you have like the Hayato, the
65.
Shade, and the Jet at a high level, plus that, plus you know, bit more in the hyperstats when you level, and then eventually maybe even going for 2 lines of crit damage on the gloves. Yeah, you're looking at basic. Oh, if you're, what were you at now? Like 40? Like you, or like 50? Yeah, you could probably go to like 80 to 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
With all of that, yeah.
Yeah, 53% at the moment, fully buffed, so it's a hell of a lot of damage if I just get that up. And it's, I know that with that, obviously, it's going to help me get more stuff so that I don't have to, because obviously a lot of the worry is booming stuff.
Yep. Yeah, let's
so
get into
obviously
how to do that all, because we're already a little bit over time, so I want to make sure that we don't go super long. Yeah, so for start forcing, so we're looking at 15ing everything. Right, that's the main thing. I can look at the potentials real quick, but it's good to know. Yeah, you'll probably notice that HP and MP still give you quite a bit of damage early on.
Yes.
Even if, especially if you get flames that have HP and MP on it, then it'll be even better. That's fine for now. That just means it's cheaper to still get strong, but eventually we want to get everything into intellect. But for now, that's totally fine, right? That just means you have more outs. There's not as much variance, more value in the individual flames and stuff. So that's fantastic.
I I cannot get a Dominator pendant for the life of me. I've had people running it with me with like the max drop rate they can possibly have.
Yeah.
Dominator pendant will just not show its face.
Will not drop.
And then I missed one day and somebody got a drop. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
of course. That's how it always goes.
Typical.
How's your drop and meso going? Do you right now you just have one set for everything?
Yes. My drop rate and my meso obtained is 100%, and is it 80% or 60%? I can't remember. It's what everybody recommends.
Yeah, 180
to
probably.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5-line meso,
So-
4-line drop rate.
Yeah, so that's all. Like all that is complete. I don't have to worry about anything like drop rate or that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically getting the secondary set. Like I know obviously I can get the Golix set eventually.
Yeah.
But that's a long way away.
Yeah, that's a ways
And
away.
then what I was thinking is obviously even if like I start working on other rings or that, and then maybe take off the drop rate if I get, like, say I'm working on a ring up to legendary or a neck or whatever, if I get that up to legendary and it rolls item or drop rate, I know I can, like, those event rings, I can maybe roll the drop rate off and try and get, like, the int in that on that and turn that into a damage piece rather than a item drop.
Yeah, they could be. The event rings are very good for Kanna. They're like 18 to 19 equivalent, so they will carry you quite a bit. Like on Reboot Awakening, like eventually end game, you want them to be like your best drop rate rings, but you know you get 3-line int, well, that's just going to be your damage ring for a whole long time.
Yeah.
So if you're
Kinda
dropping
like that one.
Yeah, exactly like that one. Yeah. So if you're dropping meso is set. The other thing to look at, of course, is your weapon secondary and your emblem. Your emblem, we did talk about it. Like if you do get in trouble with IED, like eventually you need 1 line of IED at least on your WSE as a Kanna if you're optimizing. For damage output, ideally 2 lines of magic attack, 1 line of IED. Of course, considering your whole state of your account, it's definitely not a priority to work on right now. But it is something to keep an eye on for the long term. And that's probably going to be mass red cubing. Because you can only get one, so it'll be you'll be at the point where everything is so to situate it, everything 17-star legendary, probably a 2 or 2.5 lines, right? So like going up 24, 27, and 30% on Abzo, that kind of stuff. That's probably when the emblem gets revisited and goes for some IED, because that'll allow you to go lower IED on things like link skills, prioritize more on survivability and damage, etc.
Yeah. Like that potential was awesome on the emblem, but I know I did need the IED somewhere on one of my PCs. I had read obviously that.
Well, you need it there, right? Because you can't get it on your secondary as a Kanna because it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So you're just and you don't want to get it on your main weapon, so you have to. So when it comes to the secondary weapon, eventually 17, and then all of the magic attack on it counts, so also the flame on it. I don't know what the flame on there is right now.
The flame on that right now, give me
there's a 10% boss damage flame, I can see that, but...
the flame on it is no int, so that kind of sucks. The magic attack is only 50 on it, and then 10% boss damage, so I do need to re-roll that flame.
50, yeah. That's okay for now, because only a percentage of it gets transferred over, so... Even if you do upgrade it, there's only a percentage of the upgrade that goes through, so it's not as high a priority as you would think there.
Yeah.
Potential-wise, it would be really beneficial to get 2 lines of magic attack on there. Even if it's 2 lines of 9%, or if it's a 12 and 9, that would help a lot. The intellect does go through, but of course, magic attack way more valuable than flat intellect on that. And on that note, that's also why I would probably, when it comes to cubing and stuff, redoing the weapon is probably priority number 1. Even though 30% intellect is a lot of damage, magic attack is just so much better when it comes to giving you damage, and you'll probably see a huge... I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure just getting 1 line of magic attack will already be better than the 3 lines of intellect. So even
yeah,
if
probably.
yeah, so that is yeah, if you have like no money and you're rolling legendary and you roll this and you're like completely out, yeah, of course you keep that for a bit. But re-rolling magic attack on a weapon is like a must at this stage. There's so much damage there that's not being tapped. Yeah, magic attack wise on the flame and everything. Well, you know about flames now, and you know about you know how to prioritize that. So that's something to take into account as well. The magic attack flame on your weapon is obviously going to be a pretty important one.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly what number you're looking for there, but you know where to find that, right?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
got all the flame
The
stuff
links,
opened
yeah.
up, so.
Okay, nice. So using the black bean mark now. That's nice flame, of course. You could eventually turn that into a damage piece. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to get replaced with a monocle, right? That's only if you really want to go past 20 stars, because this can go up to 20 anyway. Getting backups might be a bit trickier, but weekly Chaos Pink Bean and all that. But yeah, this is one of the pieces also we want to wait for a 30% off to get it to 15.
Yeah, I think that black bean, I've actually had 3 or 4 black bean marks, and I think if I remember correctly, they came from normal.
It's also possible for
normal?
normal. Yeah, it's a lower drop rate, but it can also drop from normal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was over the course of like a week that they all dropped, so.
Oh wow, nice. That's pretty rare, yeah.
Strange.
Let's see the hat. Yeah, so the hat has some gains to make flame whites. For CRA, I would keep the potential just at unique, quite long. Don't worry about that too much. Just mainly star forcing, and keep doing the CRA bosses, right? All your weekly bosses, so you'll have a lot of backups here, so that when you have 30% off, you don't have to safeguard and you can just send it to 15.
Yeah.
That will save you a lot of money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember watching you when you were sending stuff, and it's just like rapid clicking, whereas I'm like safeguard.
Some pieces you want to do
you-
that, some pieces you don't want to do that at all, right? So we'll make that distinction now, because like with your weapon, your secondary weapon, you probably want to safeguard it, right? Because like you'll wait till 5, 10, 15 for this one, right? 16 is free, and then just safeguard only 16 to 17, just because of all the hassle of getting back up there. It's just annoying. But when it comes to CRA, you just boom, send it to 15. Should be fine. Well, hopefully no boom, but like send it. Wrong choice of words there. Yeah. Yeah. So potential wise, it's fine. Flame wise, there can be some gains, but just like slowly over time with everything. For the CRA. So that goes for all the CRA pieces, right? Let me check the pants and the top real quick. Oh, it's a very nice flame, so for now, so you can keep that one very easily. You know that if it booms, it does transfer the trace over, does transfer the potential over, and everything just goes back to 12, so that's fine. Yeah, the potential, the MP and the HP right now, so that one's also okay. Yeah, and the top kind of in the same situation as the hat. A little bit better than the hat, but also like flame-wise, there's still definitely some gains to make. Pants is probably about where you want it, so that one's okay. Glove is getting extra help.
Magic attack
rather
than attack.
Yeah, I think the hat has a attack line as well. Yeah, I think I have one character like that with the strength character, and then it has magic attack on all of the flames. It's like a deal sweetener. If it just is the one that you want, then you can be like, okay, that's good enough. But now it's like so close yet so far away. So only get things to 15 that can go past 15, right? So like for the Machinator, for the Chaos Horntail Pennant, don't worry about that. Just leave them where they are. No need to spend any money there. For the shoulder, safeguard it up to 15. Do eventually, if you do have if your fingers start itching and do want to do some cubing, I would definitely roll a few cubes on the shoulder. Try to get 2 lines, even if it's just 13 and like a 7% all stat. Just to get a little bit more value out of that legendary potential that you've already invested in. But yeah, safeguarding up to 15 is high priority there. Are you gonna make Sweetwater Tattoo?
I've not started any of the Sweetwater stuff.
Okay.
I've not really been focused on that. I've been more focused on trying to level and obviously just get to a point where I can then start looking at everything else and maybe putting time into getting like the pendant and the is it pendant and monocle or something?
Yeah, so the monocle is kind of more optional because you have the black bean mark, and then the tattoo would
Yeah.
replace, and the pen, the tattoo and the pendant would like replace the current pieces. Honestly, again, to put that into reference, like if you're switching out all of the boss accessory pieces and basically going full Helix set, that's around the same time when you also want to purchase all the Sweetwater pieces and get all the Sweetwater pieces in, and also get those all to 17. You know, have the Dominator transpose, get the tattoo in, maybe the monocle. Not necessarily. You could also keep the bean mark if that's all 17. But that way you can get that whole thing to 17, and you can just completely change out of boss accessory set into all different pieces, basically.
Nice, no worries.
So that's kind of like the time frame to worry about that. If you do start up Commercy, you can invest all of it into building up your boat first. And then once your boat is leveled up to the Dreadnought, then you can just mass get Dineros, and then when the time is right, boom. And then if you have enough Dineros, you can do the same thing like with CRA, where you don't have to safeguard because you have the backups anyway. If you don't have enough by then you'll have to safeguard. So it basically depends, right? Either you spend your time making more money, and then you safeguard your way through, or you spend that time doing the dailies, and then you don't have to safeguard. Same kind of way you get value out of your time. Just whatever you prefer.
Yeah, cool.
So for the shoes and the cape, I think it'll be more beneficial to go the fodder route because they're only 11 and 12, I think. Or both 11, and they're only epic, which is easy to replace. I think the best way to go would be to get level 150 pieces. So for the cape, the easiest thing would be to keep the Zakum capes. Or you can keep the Madman Ranmaru pieces. You can do that as well, the level 150. And then basically when there's a 30% off, have a bunch of backups and just again send no safeguard and just send them all the way to 15. This is just something you could do on the side, right? If it booms, it's whatever. Like no harm, no foul. You can still keep the Abzo. If you get to 15, wait until a 5, 10, 15 event, then bump them to 16, transfer them over into the Abzo, then send the Abzo again to 16, and then safeguard the last star up to 17, and then redo the potential.
Easy enough then.
Yeah, you save a lot of money that way. Plus, you can make sure that you don't have to do a bunch of, either spend a lot of money safeguarding or have to do a bunch of backups. Backup for the areas, right? The Dark World Tree and the Scrapyard, which is probably not your favorite thing to do. So if you can avoid having to do that and not having to safeguard the whole way through, that'll be like, from an efficiency standpoint, the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Cup is really nice. I think that's a tier 7 HP flame, if I'm not mistaken. That definitely sweetens the whole deal. Like the int and the L set is already really nice, right? This is already better than all your other pieces you have, and then the HP on top of that.
I've not found a single, no cup is even coming anywhere close to that one. Like every other cup is like a minimum of like 150k stat decrease, and I'm like, okay.
It'll change again. It's changed a little bit with when you go harder into the int, lower into all of the percentage HP and MP and all that stuff. Then other cups will get a lot closer, because the value of all set will go up. But yeah, this probably even until endgame, this will probably be. I haven't thrown it into a flame score calculator, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 115 or something. So probably your CRA is not even gonna get this good. Realistically, and if it is, then either you spent too much or you got really lucky, essentially.
Yeah.
Your Abzo will probably be trying to get to this level eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So belt-wise, you're probably a bit over-invested in this one. I don't know if I would Star Force like to 15 and eventually to 17 on this one. Maybe considering the potential you would. It kind of depends on how long you think it's going to take until you switch to the whole Helix set. You said you were like 700 coins and you don't have pieces yet, right?
So at the moment, I've got loads of as far as I'm aware, the superior and the cracked and all that you could use as replacements if you boom the top end ones. But yeah, I'm sitting on 698 coins. So I'm 2 coins away from being able to get my first, is it superior? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, superior is the highest tier, yeah. So it's cracked, solid, reinforced, superior.
Yeah, so I'm 2 coins away from getting my first superior piece. I do usually run it daily with somebody that basically has said, if anything drops, you can take it, even if it's superior. So if I got lucky, I could potentially have like 3 pieces, or because it's only 2 that drops from.
Yeah,
Helix,
belt and the
isn't it?
earring drop. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have 3 pieces. So I don't know, like, how long it's going to take, because obviously I'm going to have to save up the coins again.
Yeah, until you have
and it
all
does
of them,
seem
it's not really worth switching. The belt is the one that would be worth switching because the base stats are really good if you get the drop. But if you already have like this potential and you already have some Star Force on this, and it's part of the set bonus as well, it'll probably be a very minor upgrade even if you do get the belt. So it's probably fine to not really invest in them even if you get the pieces until you have all of them. Because otherwise you just have a bunch of money invested and it's just sitting there and not really being used.
Yeah, so just basically keep them in storage, and
yeah,
just when I get to that point that I get them all, then start working on them.
Yeah, so for this one, so for the belt, I'd probably keep it. I probably wouldn't send it to 15 or go to 17. I'd probably just keep this because of the distance between you and Helix, or Superior Set, I should say. But once you do get to the point where you do have all the pieces or you're near all the pieces and there's an event coming out, again, look at those pieces in the same way that you're looking at the Abzo pieces now, like the cape and the shoe. Like, see if you can get gear 10 levels lower and then just mass send that instead so you don't have to safeguard and then transfer it over. That would be beneficial if you can set the money aside. So for the belt, it'll probably be the pink bean belts if you have those. For the earrings, it'll be reinforced earrings. So if you can get reinforced earrings, those are very valuable. I don't know if your friend would let you loot those, but those will help a lot. For the ring, it's either the Kanna treasure rings, if you can get those and backups. I don't know if you're doing Princess No.
Yeah, soloing her at the moment. The fish is a goddamn pain in the arse, but yeah.
Well, the big blue circle will also help get a lot of lines in on the whale. Because yes, she's very, very annoying. Yeah. One tip I will say: if you go to the top in the beginning, don't kill all the monsters yet, but install your summons up there first, and then kill the monster so that when she spawns directly into all the summons and starts getting hit by that immediately, so you can set them up in peace before you start getting teleported immediately once you set them up.
Damn, did not think of that.
Yeah, and try to trigger the big blue ball if you're in the bottom and the middle, so that it flies all the way through. Like, the lower you activate it, the more hits you get out of it. And like, it's just a pure line story. So it's like, get the Sengoku Force out, get the lady out. Just throw all the summons out there. Anything you can do to throw lines.
They're ready to eat the fish.
Yeah, because it's cool. Just get through it ASAP. So that's the rings, and then maybe the Meister rings, right? But you're doing Arcarium, so any kind of chances there for primals is already covered as well, and dominators for the pendant later. And then for pendant, it will also be a dominator. So mostly for the pendant, you typically either use like an event scroll, Star Force event scroll, or you just safeguard the way up, because you usually, by the time you switch, you don't have like a bunch of dominators lying around, so you can do like Star Force's dominator without safeguarding, because you have so many, so that you can transfer over into Superior. That one is typically a bit trickier to come across.
Yeah, definitely. That and the Kanna ring. It's seem like non-existent.
It's hit or miss, but usually miss.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I don't have a picture of your heart, but yeah, heart is... You have the fairy heart, right? So that's fine.
I was sure I included that, but yeah, that is 8 stars, obviously. 12% and 9% max MP, and then 9% defense. So it's not too bad. I've got a line of N on it, so...
Yep. Yeah, eventually if you're like min-maxing the potentials and stuff, so we're talking like once everything is 17 basically. Heart has very low amount of junk lines, so like from an efficiency standpoint, that would be very cheap to get a lot of intellect on. And then after that, just start with the highest level items, like all the Abzo stuff, and then all the accessories. Those have pretty low junk lines as well, so accessories would be after Abzo, and then would be the CRA stuff, basically, right after that.
Right, cool. Well, I think the good thing is obviously I'll probably start getting to the Superior set, like once I start getting to that point. It'll probably be when I look at all my damage gear, so thankfully it'll be a huge boost once I get there eventually.
Oh yeah,
whenever
the
it
set
comes.
bonus is massive. Plus the 3 set bonus is actually quite good for you as well. It's got MP and HP percentage and magic attack in there as well, so it's quite nice.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, they don't have flame advantage though, so you lose any kind of good flames you had. But the main thing comes from the star forcing, the 17 that gives a bunch of magic attack and stats. So that, that compensates for breaking up the boss accessory set basically. Oh yeah, we didn't mention the glove, but like the glove is in the same state as the like I guess as your secondary weapon, right? I mean, like, you want to get it to. That one's already, legendary. It's got the crit damage and the intellect on it, so that one's gonna have to get safeguarded and Star Forced up.
Yeah.
Don't want to risk booming that unless you have like enough materials for a backup. You could say I'm just gonna gamble it and see because the chance of booming is pretty low. You could say I'm gonna risk it in case it doesn't boom, and as long as you keep the materials, you could have one on the back end, and then as soon as you boom one, you're like, okay, now I'm safeguarding. That's also a possibility. Just getting enough materials for one possible backup in case something happens could save you a lot of money, right? Like, if it does boom, then you safeguard everything, but you don't boom, cool, you can do the next one again. That also doesn't boom, oh, you can do the next one, right? That could end up saving you like a bill or a bill and a half, if you get lucky. So that is something to consider.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, we're mainly just kind of time gated, right? So wherever you end up going, wherever you end up pushing further is just where you get more backups, but that's mainly going to be once you're pushing past 17. So I guess to recap, the potential on the weapon is going to be huge. Saving up for 30% off, trying to get everything to 15, safeguarding on the items where you need to, not safeguarding where you don't need to, getting backups for cape and shoe so that you can send those instead without having to risk blowing anything up when you can replace the potential so easily anyway.
Eventually IED on the emblem.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Starting up Commercy so you can start leveling up the boat slowly so that when you need the pieces you have them right away. And eventually these rings will still be fine if you can get full intellect on these, but it'll mainly be like once the Spirit comes in, the Reinforce comes in, maybe a Kanna Treasure comes in, maybe a Meister comes in, boom, that's like 4 extra rings, and then you can start juggling, and whatever, all the other ones can get to 17, and then whatever potential they roll, that's just what their function becomes, They roll a bunch of intellect, they're damage rings, they roll drop, and maybe some intellect on the side, well, now you're a drop rate ring. And they'll all be roughly equivalent, so it doesn't really matter that much. Just let the potential guide their function there.
Yeah, so it's basically just a case keep working on the Arcane Force.
Yeah, Arcane Force are very important, yeah.
Work on the Legion and that, and then just let everything else come over the time. That's not too much changes need to be done, that's good then.
Sorting out the nodes, I think, is going to be quite a lot bigger than you think, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's probably prio number 1 is sorting out the nodes. Because that's going to be huge. Just getting rid of the junk stuff there. That's probably what I'm going to be focusing on after dinner.
And the two int on the reset from strength, of course. Also, it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, and the Legion board looking like a smiley a guy with chicken pox.
Like a happy chicken pox guy. Yeah.
Oh god. Well, really appreciate it. Like, I've obviously, even for the start, it's just the smallest things, not even thinking about, like, oh, if I had this ability on in bosses, oh, if I had that ability on in bosses, it'd be so much easier. But I'm glad to see that it's a few things, and it's obviously a lot of stuff that's obvious. It's a lot of things that's going to be over time. So that's kind of good.
Yeah, as long as you're set up to, like, take advantage of those things. Yeah, I see you have some lower level rings in your inventory and stuff, so if it comes to like cracked and solid stuff, you can, for all the cracked and solid stuff, you can get rid of it. If it's epic, you can like Star Force it through to share the epic potential, right? To make sure that you basically save yourself an E-pot. But other than that, if it's just rare or doesn't have potential, when it's cracked or solid, you can just always get rid of it. No worries.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will be tidying up my inventory as well then. I actually also need to unlock all the inventory slots. I keep forgetting to do that, but
For me, that's also just an overtime thing. Because what I find is it's like moving into a big house. You just accumulate a lot of garbage. And then when you move out, you're like, why did I have all of this? Well, because you had room for it. Sometimes it's better to not have maxed out so that you are forced to make some decisions every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. It's like me. Hopefully moving soon to a bigger house for the kids and that. So I'm gonna be like, oh god, why have we got all this shit? Why the hell did we save this?
It's a great time to get rid of. Yeah, really good time. Moving is the best time to get rid of stuff.
Yeah,
plus, you can give it to other people. Hey, you need this?
I guess a progression session definitely was worth it.
Yeah, okay,
obviously,
good.
see very easy stuff. And obviously, I'm still going to be tuning into the streams, so I'll know, like, with events coming up and that, you're obviously always on top of it, and you're always giving some little bits of advice here and there in chat as well. So,
I try.
Never know, maybe in a couple of months down the line, I'll come back to you and I'll be like, hey, by the way, 8K Legion.
We'll see all that 10K, right? Mage. I thought you were skipping 8K.
Oh, yes. I forgot that one, damn it. Yeah, solo and
better
Black
make good
Mage
on that promise.
Just being a boss on EU Reboot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right,
be
well,
fun.
Cheers very much for the time, man. I really do appreciate it, Scardor. And thank you for doing this for the community and that. You're an absolute legend, mate. But
You're welcome,
I'm going to go and see my daughters and then work on everything over time. So once again, really appreciate it. And
No
I hope
problem.
you have a good rest of your stream, man.
Yes, thank you. You have a good one. Enjoy the family, and I'll see you around.
Yep. Right.
All right.
Laters, buddy.
Yes, bye-bye. Alright, that was a long one. That's what she said. Longer than the totem, guys. Are you guys still farming? I know you guys listen to this when you're training, okay? Yes, you're exposed, all of you right now. Yeah, so this is going to be the last progression session of September. You know what that means? Means leave a comment if you would like to be one of the 2 people who receive a free session. I'll be drawing the winners on stream tomorrow on the 1st of October. And we'll see who are the 2 people who get a free session from all of the comments from the progression sessions on September on the YouTube channel. With that being said, hopefully this was informational for you guys. As you can see, a lot of times what can happen is you kind of just go on and you kind of just add points and you kind of just like add nodes and you kind of just click whatever you have. It's a good idea every now and then to just stop, take a step back and look a little bit more critical at all the things you have and be like, what should I be working on right now? What can actually use a little work? You can use the progression grid. This is a great tool to start from. And if this is not clear enough, just request a session with me if you want one of these as well. So if you want one of these sessions, or you have data for me that helps me inform all of the community, or you want to join my guild in Reboot in the game, in NA, not in EU like this guy, but in NA. Links for all of that are in the description, and links to all of the resources that we've used here are all available in my Twitch chat. You just put an exclamation mark in front of whatever you're looking for, and it'll probably pop up. You can also check exclamation mark info, and that has a link to all of the commands that I have, which is the one that our progression sessioner was talking about. So this is the one that he uses. This one has basically the links. Oh, if you click, yes, that is exactly what I clicked. Thank you. Can I just click next? Oh, here, yeah. So here you have like the links also to all of the information of all stuff that exists. Not all of it is game info. Some of it is also memes and other stuff that people have requested with channel points. So if you're looking for game info, just look for all the green commands in here. That just has a metric fuck ton of information. And it's easier for me to keep up to date than extra YouTube videos. So even if I have YouTube videos about a topic, I'll usually refer to commands in the video so that when you check them, it'll always be up to date for the current situation, even if it's slightly changed since the time of uploading the video. So yeah, hopefully it was educational for you guys. Hopefully it was entertaining, and hopefully you had something to listen to in the background while you were doing some other stuff. And again, keep commenting if you would like to win a session. You still have a chance, but you have a chance always. Next month we'll just do the same thing all over again. So, and then November 1st I'll draw the October winner. So no harm, no foul. If you're watching this before the end of the day, remember that it's the last day of September. So check your reward points, check the expiration of the reward points, and buy out the items in the reward shop that are that you would like to buy out before the shop resets at reset today. So I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you